Islam Makhachev said he's ready for Ian Garry, said he's going to have to chase him.
Number one focus, this is skinny twig, is Ian Garry. This is our main focus, you know. This guy talk a lot, you know, and we have to focus on him because every opponent we fight, or Islam fight, or anyone fight, we have them take him seriously, even if they're not a serious guy. I don't think he's a serious man.
Islam Makhachev is the protege of Conor, of Khabib. I am the protege of Conor, right?
Can Ian Garry get it done?
Nah, I think he's getting choked to sleep. That's what at least I'm hoping for. I hope Makhachev goes in there, manhandles his ass, gets his neck, and says, man, fuck!
Now I feel more comfortable, honestly. The first camp so hard. I just tried to gain weight, do a lot of lifting program, but this camp I stay in the same weight, you know. I'm not like go down. Now I'm like real welterweight, and this camp I think is more easy. Who's the number one right now? Anderson Silva or myself? Because I already like not beat, but
you're tied. Yeah. So you both have 16.
16.
So you will be the only person with 17 with this one.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
I never like follow these numbers, but it's like cool, you know, when you have longest win streak in UFC. It sounds look good, you know.
You know, I favor Makhachev for sure. I think he's just going to take him down and dictate his pace and put the fight where he wants to fight. He's too strong for that little twig, you know, that little cuck that sits in the corner and watches his wife get dogged out by the nutritionist. So
17 fights, 0 losses. A number nobody in UFC history had ever reached until this weekend. Islam Makhachev didn't just walk out of the octagon with a welterweight title defense. He walked out with the longest win streak the promotion has ever recorded, passing a mark that stood since Anderson Silva's prime. But here's what the scorecards don't tell you. This was not a dominant night. This was the hardest fight of Makhachev's entire career, and for stretches of it, Ian Garry looked like the man who was going to end the streak, not extend it. So let's break down exactly how this fight was actually won, round by round in the moments that mattered, not just the final tally. Let's start with the problem Makhachev had never faced before. He has never fought anyone as tall as Ian Garry. 6'3", with a jab that never seemed to leave the center of the octagon. For most of the fight, that lead hand was the entire story. Garry kept it out in front like a fence of its own, forcing Makhachev to hunt for angles just to find a way in. Twice in the championship rounds, Makhachev tried to step outside that jab to line up his own hands, and twice he walked straight into it instead, his punches falling short while Garry simply pulled his head back and reset the distance. Boxing this man from the outside was not working, and Makhachev knew it early. So he went to the one tool Garry couldn't fully neutralize, the takedown. In the first round, he shot a single leg with almost no setup, ducking under that long jab and dragging Garry down to his knees. It's a sequence fight fans will recognize because it mirrored something almost identical from Khabib Nurmagomedov's first exchange with Conor McGregor years earlier, right down to the grip Garry used to defend it. And that grip mattered, because Garry had spent his fight camp training specifically for this with Demian Maia, one of the most decorated grapplers to ever compete in the UFC. You could see Maia's fingerprints all over Garry's defense. Wrap around the hips, arms threaded between the legs, fight to clear the shoulder before it gets pinned. It worked well enough to keep him alive, but not well enough to get him off the mat. Makhachev spent nearly half of round 1 just controlling him against the fence, waiting for an opening that never fully came, while Garry hung on and eventually climbed his way back to his feet. That pattern repeated itself for most of the fight, and it turned into a genuine grappling battle rather than a one-sided clinic. In round 3, Makhachev changed the shot slightly, driving the single leg all the way to the fence instead of dropping straight to the floor, and this time Garry actually solved it. He cleared his shoulder, pulled Makhachev forward, and stood right back up, taking over the position against the cage himself. That's not something many welterweights have done to Makhachev. By round 4, Makhachev adjusted again, baiting Garry into extending that jab by leaning forward and offering himself as a target, then timing his level changed the instant Garry committed. It worked, but Garry's hand retraction was fast enough that it almost didn't matter, and even after getting dragged down, Garry kept finding his way back up against the fence. At one point in that exchange, Garry started telling the referee that Makhachev's foot might have been caught in the gap between the canvas and the cage. It's hard to say for certain from the broadcast angle, But it was clearly enough of a moment that it briefly interrupted the fight's rhythm. Now here's the round that actually decided the outcome of the fight, even though it happened well before the judges' scorecards were read. Round 2. Makhachev had been struggling to get past that reach with his hands all night, but this is the one moment he pulled it off standing up, and it changed everything. He feinted to the inside of Garry's lead hand, and as Garry tried to step off to the outside, his foot got tangled with Makhachev's, throwing off his balance for just a fraction of a second. In that window, Garry tried to load up a right straight, and Makhachev beat him to the punch with a right hook. He didn't land it clean, it grazed off his bicep, but it was enough. Garry's balance broke completely. Makhachev followed immediately with a knee to the head, difficult against someone with that much height, and Garry had to posture up and shove him toward the fence just to survive the sequence. Here's where it gets costly for Garry. Instead of staying in that clinch, he disengaged, trying to create distance and reset. It was the single biggest mistake of the fight. The moment his hands came up and then dropped again, Makhachev read it instantly. Exactly like he'd been reading it the entire fight, and threw a right hook to turn Garry's head into the path of an incoming high kick. Garry never saw it coming a second time. His hands rose briefly after the hook landed, then dropped right back down, which tells you everything about how much that kick surprised him. It caught him clean across the face and put him on the canvas. That single sequence is the difference between this being a comfortable decision and it being a fight people are still arguing about the scorecards on days later. Because Garry did not fade after that knockdown. He came back and arguably won the striking exchanges for large stretches of the fight, especially with his body kicks. He set them up beautifully, throwing fake right straights and feinted high kicks early to condition Makhachev into keeping his guard raised. And once that habit was locked in, he started landing hard round kicks underneath it, straight to the ribs. By the final round, the left side of Makhachev's body was visibly marked up from it. Garry's single biggest strike of the entire fight came from a similar setup, a jab, then a right straight down the middle that nudged Makhachev's head just slightly to the side, opening the exact angle for a long, looping high kick that landed clean. Makhachev got an arm up in time to take some of the power off it, but it still sent him briefly airborne. If that kick had landed a fraction of a second earlier in the sequence, this breakdown might be about a completely different outcome. That brings us to the round everyone is still arguing about. Round 4. Statistically, it should have been close, but the scorecard read 3-1 in Makhachev's favor going into the 5th. Garry was landing real damage in that round, to the body and to the face, while Makhachev's takedowns weren't converting into anything meaningful. He got Garry down more than once, but never established real offense from top position, before Garry scrambled back to the fence. And under the actual scoring criteria, a takedown without sustained control or damage shouldn't swing around on its own. A lot of people watching live had this fight closer to even heading into the 5th than the judges did. Makhachev sealed it in round 5 with his cleanest sequence of the entire fight. He faked a high jab to keep Garry's hands occupied, shot the single leg underneath it, and this time turned the corner faster than at any other point in the fight. Garry, unable to fully control him standing, tried to shield with his knee to create separation, but it backfired. Makhachev stepped his own leg across Garry's, cleared the shield entirely, locked a body lock over Garry's leg, and used it to climb straight to his back. Both hooks in, grip locked in a figure 4. He rode that position for the remainder of the round and never let it go. So when the scorecards finally came back 48-47, the record books say it clean. Longest win streak in UFC history, a title defense in a second weight class, another line added to a resume that's starting to look untouchable. But the tape tells a different story than the number does. This was close, this was uncomfortable, and Ian Garry, a man Makhachev had never faced anyone built like before, came closer to ending this streak than almost anyone expected, which raises a real question heading forward. If a fighter with this kind of frame and this kind of coaching gave Makhachev this much trouble, what happens against Michael Morales, a welterweight with a very similar profile and even more finishing power? That matchup just got a whole lot more interesting. We'll be breaking that one down soon, so make sure you're subscribed for when it happens.